It's time for our daily dose of cope, and this leopard right here is eating some face-flavored popcorn because, yes, it is super tasty. Take this screenshot. You need it for something. There is so much going on in the United States right now. The person that we elected to be president has really screwed the pooch royally. Let's check out some things that are going on. I always love these how it started, how it's going for more motivation. This one's titled, I'm fine with racism, cruelty, and bad economic policies, but can you please remove this one thing that's affecting me personally? Let's check this out. How it started. Let's Go Solar is responding to Tristan Snell. Tristan Snell says, first the Super Bowl, now the Daytona 500. He's not a real president. He just plays one on TV, and it's costing the American people tens of millions in extra unnecessary wasteful spending. Maybe that is what Doge should be cutting. He says this back in February. Let's Go Solar says on February 17th, he's the greatest president of all time. He will be carved in stone on Mount Rushmore, and you can cry yourself to sleep every night. So Let's Go Solar is perfectly fine with wasting millions of dollars on these things, the Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, all of that. Now in May, at the bottom, Let's Go Solar says, what about the clean energy tax credit? Why are we doing away with that? I voted for Trump, but I'm also in the solar industry and rely on that tax credit for my customers. Please strike that one out the bill. He's talking to Scott Besson in June saying, Scott, because, they're on the first name basis. Scott, I voted for Trump in the last 3 elections, and I'm for most of his agenda. However, I'm the owner of a small business, Omega Solar Energy in Little Rock, Arkansas, with a 5-star rating, and it will gut the solar industry and put 300,000 people out of work. I voted to save our country. Hashtag SOS. Save me, solar, because Trump always championed solar. Here's another how it started, how it's going. Joseph right here is commenting on Catherine. Catherine says, well said. MAGA will find out exactly what they voted for. There is no back button here. We are strong and resilient. The beauty of it all is if we suffer, so will MAGA. Trump doesn't give an F about them. No great economy and no hashtag mass deportation will ever happen. And then to that, Joseph says, we know what we voted for. That's why we voted for it. So they know, eyes wide open, just like this. Let's start from the bottom. July 19th, he says, sir, I voted for Trump. Please save the vape industry in Ohio because vaping is so important. My good friend is about to lose his business and livelihood because of tariffs on vapes. This is a huge mistake and he's rightfully devastated over it. So that's July 19th. July 21st says, but my friend's vape business is about to close. We voted for Trump. We did not vote for his livelihood to be destroyed by tariffs. Please be honest and understand there are real people suffering out here. But he campaigned on tariffs. He campaigned on tariffs. All right, July 26th. I was told by a local vape shop owner he's being sunk because of tariffs. He's losing his livelihood and it's not funny. And he voted for Trump, as did I. They are doing some damage. Please stop acting like they're not. This is the only way to make them open their eyes is for them to be impacted firsthand. They have no concept of empathy because the late Charlie Kirk said, empathy is damaging. Empathy, that's too woke. They have no concept of empathy and couldn't think about what tariffs did even the last time. So now these people are failing and flailing. This is bad, but these people were warned what would happen with the one big beautiful BS of a bill and all the cuts to Medicaid and all of that. So this one's titled, Augusta County, Virginia is being forced to shutter 3 rural doctors' offices in direct response to Republican Medicaid cuts. The county voted 73.3% in favor of Trump. And so that's basically what Mark Warner says. Sad news out of Augusta County. They're being forced to shutter 3 rural doctors' offices in response to Republican Medicaid cuts. This horrible law is going to devastate rural health care. And so here is the county right here is outlined in black. And that's where it says right there, he won 73.3%. This is what they voted for. These people are going to be devastated. If they are sick, they're going to have to travel further and further out because who's going to want to work? Who wants to work in rural hospitals anyway, let alone if they're not getting their funding? These people are going to suffer. This one's titled, Perry County, Ohio voted 73% for Trump, the only decent paying employer in the area, so much winning. Let's look at this headline. Cooper Standard, a company that produces metal tubing products and employs approximately 230 people in the area, will be closing its new Lexington location. And so then Jim right here says hashtag winning, hashtag MAGA. And then Dylan says nothing like shutting down the only good thing in this town and costing a whole lot of people their jobs. What can I say? Metal is being taxed. All of these things are being taxed and tariffed because, is being tariffed, and tariffs are import taxes. We pay taxes. The companies that are importing are paying the taxes. So much winning. The economy is looking as healthy as Donald Trump. Please look at this picture right here. This just looks like a really strong alpha male. Just like, oh, he's ready to go take on Chicago. Let's go. We got this. Let's talk a little bit about the economy and credit card debt. Right now, things are really bad and people are living off of credit cards. All right, it says a significant share of the U.S. population is blaming its growing credit card debt on President Trump's trade policies. In a recent survey by creditrates.com, 47% said tariffs had pushed them deeper into credit card debt, a figure that rose to 53% among millennials and 56% among Gen Zers. Newsweek has contacted the White House and the Treasury and Commerce departments for a comment. Why it matters. The survey alone does not establish any causal links between rising import taxes and Americans' growing credit card debt, which is more than $1.2 trillion, according to the New York Fed, up almost 50% over the past 5 years. However, the findings underscore consumers' growing concerns about potential effects of tariffs on prices, the economy, and their financial well-being. Younger Americans are currently facing a host of financial challenges, from housing crises and student loans to inflation. CardRates.com analysts wrote in the report, adding tariff-driven debt only amplifies their financial woes, while older generations may feel the impact of these effects less, as they may have already reached a higher sense of financial stability and security. And we're getting the inflation numbers. U.S. inflation rises in August as firms pass Trump tariffs costs onto consumers. They are now passing the cost on to us. They are not eating the cost of these tariffs. We are. So when everybody is sitting up here like cheering on all of the billions and trillions and quadrillions that we're bringing in, it's us. We're the ones that are paying all that. Inflation rose slightly in August as companies continue to push the cost of tariffs onto customers. The newest update to the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI, which measures a basket of goods and services, showed that prices increased 2.9% over the last year, the highest since January. Core CPI, which excludes energy and food costs, they stayed stable at 3.1% after going up in July. Despite this slight uptick in inflation, Wall Street remains optimistic that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates at the central bank's board meeting next week. The Fed is under intense pressure from Trump to cut rates, but the decision looks likely to be led by fears that the U.S. job market is weakening. Investors are anticipating a quarter-point rate cut. Rates currently stand at a range of 4.25 to 5.5%. U.S. stocks shot up on Wednesday after the Producer Price Index, which tracks wholesale prices, showed a slight dip in August after a steep rise in July, making investors hopeful that inflation, while still rising, is going up at a slow pace. And here's what the inflation index looks like. So here is the pandemic in 2020. So of course, inflation shot up like a rocket. Everything went up. And then it started to come down. It was coming down. It's a little bumpy, coming down. And then we hit 2024. And now this is where we are currently. You see, it dipped down. It was going down. Now it's going back up. I'm no economist, but I know that when it's down and then it goes back up, that is not that great. We've been talking about Arkansas farmers, but Minnesota farmers are also soybean farmers as well. So many of these farmers definitely screwed up when they did this again. They did this for part 2. So their faces, they're gone. Minnesota soybean farmers have no faces.
Cue the, this is what I voted for crowd, getting all chubbed up over that video. Yeah, ICE raided a Hyundai battery plant in Georgia. And the really, really messed up thing about this is the reason that they were there, or rather, the person who's taking credit for being the reason they're there.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
But make no mistake, that's not your average run-of-the-mill Karen. That's Tori Branham, who is running for Congress in Georgia's 12th district. And she was very, very proud of the fact that she called ICE and got that plant raided. And why did she feel that that needed to happen?
These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left. They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life.
That is a plant owned by Hyundai that you are, in essence, accusing of paying slave wages and being an accessory to human trafficking. That's what she said about that plant and about what was going on there. Something like 450 people detained, only here's the thing. The attorney for all the Koreans who were detained said they were all here and had special skills for short-term jobs. A ton of people from South Korea were sent here by Hyundai to train the American workers on how it should be done. It was like a temporary thing. And there was something like 8,500 more jobs that were being created by that plant that now are in jeopardy, quite frankly. Not only is that plant in jeopardy, but a ton of companies from South Korea are seeing this and going like, what is this? We were literally in compliance with the stuff that came with the tariffs. That's why we were doing things the way we were doing them. And you're going to raid us? And you're going to make our people feel unsafe? They're actually offering to send people back. They're like bringing people back to South Korea going like, we understand if you don't want to be there and don't feel safe, come on home. And a bunch of them are taking them up on it. All because this lady decided to yell Merca and saw it as a chance to make herself go viral and get some extra exposure. You got some exposure, all right. You got a bunch of people in your district who are now wondering, like, how does it help us that you're costing jobs? How is that going to make America great again? You guys are really, really good at fucking things up for yourselves.
South Korea's government says it has reached a deal with the U.S. to release 300 of its citizens detained in a massive immigration raid at a Hyundai plant in Georgia. U.S. authorities said 475 people were detained in Friday's raid, and 300 of them were South Korean nationals. The operation targeted Hyundai's electric vehicle plant under construction in partnership with LG Energy Solution. Kang Hoon-sik, chief of staff to President Lee Jae-myung, said Seoul and Washington had finalized talks on the release and that a charter plane will bring the workers back once final paperwork is done. Footage from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement showed federal agents arriving in a convoy, lining workers up, frisking some, and shackling them before transport. The raid's timing, coming amid sensitive trade talks between Washington and Seoul, has sparked concern in South Korea. One South Korean newspaper warned it could have a chilling effect on the activities of our businesses in the United States. The White House defended the raid, saying it should not be seen as a threat to foreign investment.